In this lesson, you're going to get practice using the tab tool to set up tabs when you have information that needs to appear in columns. You're also going to learn how to mark words in your document to create an automatic index. We're going to open the Rocket Reporter working copy for, so I'm going to go to File, Open. That folder is on my desktop. And I'm going to go navigate to it, Training Files, Section 2, Rocket Report folder, and we're going to be working with copy 4. So I'm going to press Open. You'll see there's missing fonts, but that's okay. So we've continued a story onto this page, and we still have this story up in the upper right hand corner that needs some formatting. So let's take a look at that. We have paragraph styles that we've been using to format, so I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And I'm going to click on the headline, just click within it, and then go to paragraph styles and press headline 20 to format that. The rest of it, I'm going to click within this body copy and press news body. Again, we don't have that font, but that's okay. We're just learning how to use the tool. But you can see here that this graphic is actually covering up part of the font, so I'm going to want to text wrap that. So I'm going to use the selection tool and come over and click on this graphic. I'm going to make sure I have the blue box instead of the brown box so that I know the whole frame is selected. I'm going to go to text wrap. We've been using this third option, but for our purposes today, we're going to use this box option, so the second option. And we are going to adjust some of the insets a little bit. So I'm going to increase the top, just a couple, and I'm going to increase the right as well, just a little bit. So you can see now that I have that going around that. I want to make this a little bit tighter, so I'm going to add some more anchors. You can see that I have that offset box here. I'm going to close this. I'm going to come up to my pen tool and click and hold. I'm going to actually select add another anchor point or add anchor point. I can now come in here and I can select some anchors, and I just click on that blue box and I'm just adding 2 here. I can now come in here with my select tool, or sorry, my direct select. So the select tool is going to let me move the object. The direct select tool is going to help me let me adjust those anchors. So I'm going to come to this corner anchor, which was already there. I'm going to just pull it in, and you can see those other anchors are acting as hinges, and it comes in here a little bit more for me and wraps around it. So that's how we can use that boxing wrap to kind of customize it a little bit. We're now going to move down here to the left hand corner where we have these important dates. We're going to set a tab so that this looks a little bit better. So I'm going to come to my text tool and I'm going to highlight everything. Then I'm going to go under type and I'm going to go to tabs, and that tab window is going to come up. Okay, I can add another. You can see that there's tabs in here. These double arrows have already indicated that the person who typed this in put a tab in, so I can just simply click somewhere and it's going to add a tab and line all of those up. So that looks okay, but I actually want this set of text to be all the way over on the right. So I'm going to Command Z and undo that. And I'm going to right justify the tab. So I'm going to click on this third option and I'm going to come all the way over here to the end and right justify it, and I can move that a little if I want. Now it's better, but I want something between the date and the description so that it's easy for the reader to follow. And I'm going to add a leader. So a leader is just something that connects those two things between the tabs. So I want a dotted line. So I'm going to come in here to the leader box and put a period and press tab. And you can see that now a dotted line goes between each of those things. I might want to increase the spacing between these, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so we can see that whole box. I'm going to close the tabs because I'm done with that. But I want to increase the spacing between these lines so it's a little easier to read. So in my character formatting, I'm going to just click the up arrow, add some spacing so that it fills this box up. You can see that now I have, if I come out and click select, I have the date with the leader and then the description here on the side. Now we're going to go over here to the right hand corner. You can see that I have a space for an index. To get an index panel, we're going to go up to Window, type in Table, and we're going to press Index. And this is going to bring up a panel for us, and we can mark things that we want to put in the index. So to put things in the index, you just are going to highlight them. So I'm going to come over to my type tool and I'm going to highlight any words that I would like to index. So the first word I want to index is homecoming. So I'm going to just highlight that. And I'm going to press the option menu and I'm going to press new page reference. It's going to bring up some options and I'm just going to press OK. And then we can highlight whatever other one. So I'm going to also do dates. Same thing. Press OK. But let's talk about hierarchy a little bit. So what if I wanted homecoming to also be listed as a submarker under dates when I compile the index? So we're going to go back to adding that reference again. So I'm going to come back to homecoming and I'm going to highlight it again. I'm going to do the same thing, new page reference. But now this is where these arrows come in. So I'm going to press the down arrow because I want it to be a level 2 topic. And now I want to put it under dates. So in level 1, I'm going to click in level 1. And down here I have everything that I've marked that I want to index. You can see that some of them have little arrows indicating that there's something more in there. So I'm going to click on the D. And you can see that I have dates and distance learning. I want homecoming to be under dates. So I'm going to just double click. And you can see that it adds that in there. So when we flow that index in, it's going to have dates with a secondary or a submarker of homecoming. And we're going to press OK. So now that I have indexed the word homecoming twice, it's going to appear under H for homecoming, but it's also going to appear as a submarker under dates. So now we have a few things marked in our index. We're ready to compile it. So you simply come to the index panel. And you're going to press generate index. It doesn't really matter what the title of that index is because you can see here, I'm going to press cancel and I'm going to move this so we can see things a little better. So remember I pressed the options and then I just pressed generate. And you can see here I already have a title, so it doesn't really matter what they title it, and the title style doesn't matter because we're going to get rid of that eventually. We're going to press OK. And I'm going to flow it into these columns, so I'm going to just click and it's going to flow that. We have this box and I'm going to flow it to the other side as well. So I now need to format the index. I don't need it to say index because it already says it here, so I'm going to double click in here. I'm going to just highlight that and get rid of it. And it automatically gives us a style for the index since we didn't define that, but we can edit those definitions. So to do that, I want to make sure nothing is selected within that box. So I'm going to click out on the pasteboard out here. I'm going to click my selection tool and make sure that I don't have anything highlighted. And now let's look in our, I'm going to go ahead and close this. We're going to look in our paragraph styles. And you can see here that it's added all of these in here for us. And actually, don't know why that happened, but there we go. Okay. So we're going to click out here, and you can see that it has all of these edits in here for us. So we can adjust those in whatever way we want. So to change the paragraph styles, we would just double click on it. Okay, so we have the index section head, which are the letters. So we're going to double click on that. We don't want to change the style name, but we do want it to be based on something. Okay, so I'm going to base it on subhead 14. And then I can press OK, and you can see that it adjusts that. So if I later decide that I want to change how that looks, if I change subhead 14, all of those would change as well because I have used a paragraph style. So I could make the adjustments in the paragraph style of subhead 14, and it's going to change that throughout my whole document. So now let's look at our index level 1s. So we're going to look, they're right here, double click, and we're going to base that on Newsbody. We don't have that font, but that's okay. We're just learning how to use it. We're going to press OK. We can see that it's adjusted that, but maybe we want to make it a little bigger. So I'm going to double click again. We can go into basic paragraph formats, and you can see it's at level 10. That's a little small for that, so I'm going to bump it up to 12. And once we have that font, it would adjust that for us. We can also do the same thing for level 2. Double click. We can base it on whatever we want, so Newsbody, and adjust it in that same way. So once we had the font, it would adjust that in the way that we want to do that. Okay, so now we're going to go back to page 1. So this is, once we find the font, it will be adjusted. So we'll go to Pages. Oops. Double click on page 1. You can see that we reserved a space here to put a table of contents. So compiling a table of contents is easy. It's all based on paragraph styles. So we're going to see paragraph styles are important, and they save you a lot of time. So when they are correct, it makes things consistent. So we're going to go under Layout, and we are going to pick Table of Contents, and it's going to bring up this window. Now, because I created this newsletter partially in advance, it already has a style here on the left-hand side, but typically if you're starting from scratch, you're going to not have any paragraph styles on that side. So this looks really complicated, but it's not. So we're just going to work from top to the bottom. So what do we want our table of contents to be called? Well, this is a newsletter, so I might want to say in this issue. We can decide what paragraph style ahead of time we want. So I'm going to use headline 20 because we've used that for our headlines throughout our entire piece, so it adds consistency. Now, if I had a longer, more complicated document, I could also add other styles to that. So now we need to pick an entry style, and we're going to pick subhead 14. So when you first open this box, it might look like this, okay, where we don't have a ton of options, but we're going to click more options because this is going to allow us to put the page numbers if that's something we want. Because our newsletter is fairly small, we're going to say no page number. We just want to indicate to the reader what's within the newsletter, but it's only 4 pages, so they could probably quickly find what they need. We're also going to press create PDF bookmarks. This is so that later when we make this a PDF, we have those bookmarks. And I'm going to press OK. You can see that it's loaded my cursor, so I'm going to just click and drag to fill this box. And it's put that into my newsletter. So we're going to want to reformat this a little bit. So I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to add a little space after the paragraphs so that we know this is individual stories. So we're going to go to our paragraph tool, and we're going to use this paragraphing tool. We're going to just add a little bit there. I can also add some line breaks. So when we don't want to start a new paragraph, but we want to break the line, you can hold down Shift and Enter. Oops. And it could break things up, but this works for us to break things up a little bit. So don't forget to use your tab ruler to help you set up tables to format columns of text. And now you can see how easy it is to let InDesign create and compile an index for you.